So I think last time we done F5 installation. Last time we done F5 configuration, F5 basic done, basic config. Then we discuss F5 VLAN, node, pull, virtual server, interface, clear? Now, today topic is very important. From today, we start the F5 actual topics. Right now, my F5 setup is ready, and how data traffic will be distributed in my each server we need to learn. Okay, mute your mics, put on mutes. Okay, now. So last time we draw this diagram. For example, this side we are getting the person name is client, and this client connected with your ISPs, and ISP connected with last time with my F5 box. F5 box connected with my switch, and switch connected with my server 1, server 2, and this switch also connected with my server number 3. Now, last time we decide the IP address for each and every interfaces. So right now in my LAN interfaces, we are using this network 192.168.20.0/24, and this interface IP is 20.254. This server 1 having the IP is 20.10. This server having the IP is 20. How many IP? 20.20. This server having the IP is Rohan 20.30. Now, one more thing. Basically, for WAN side, we are using the network is 192.168.30.0/24, and this interface we assign the IP is 30.254. And right now, basically this ISP having the IP is 30.1, and this client having the IP is 30.5, for example. So this setup is done. Pradeep, Rohan, any issue with this design?
No.
This design is clear now. Okay. Basically, in this design, we discuss a node, pull, virtual server, some monitors also we discuss. How many monitors we done here? How many monitors? How many monitor we discussed last time? We create. Hello. Last time. We create on this F5 some node. In node we create server 1, server 2, server 3. After node we create pull. We create 2 pulls. We create WAP pull. We create FTP pull. In my pull, each pull having the servers. How many servers? Server 1, server 2, server 3. This FTP pull also having 3 servers. Server 1, server 2, and server 3. After pull, we create the virtual server. Basically, virtual server, we also create WAP, and we create FTP. So, last time the WAP server IP is public IP 30.100 and FTP IP is 30.101. So basically this F5 providing actually WAP service or FTP service. So how data traffic will be carried? So in this design, we need to learn first. So this one is my design, and this F5 having 2 virtual server. First virtual server is WAP, and this WAP server having the IP is 192.168.30.100. Okay, so this public IP for WAP service. Now, one more virtual server, it's called FTP, and 192.168.30.101. This public IP for providing FTP information. Now, Now you need to learn about the one more thing. Basically, this virtual server, web virtual server, and FTP virtual server using the load balancing mechanism. Which load balancing mechanism we are using by default? Anyone know? Last time we discussed. Which mechanism? Its name?
Round
Round
robin.
robin. Round
Okay.
robin means one by one. We distribute the traffic one by one. How to traffic distribute? For example, this client sitting in outside. This client sitting in outside. Outside means publicly. And this client say, I want to access your web services. How to access your web services? This client. So basically, this client generates some traffic. This client say, I am generating the data. Inside data, this client say, my source IP is 30.5 and my destination IP is 30.100. Now, this data receive on ISP. ISP verify 30.100 available on F5. Whenever F5 receiving, so F5 check your data packet. Inside your data packet, F5 verify the destination IP is 30.100. And F5 look up, okay, any virtual server is available? Yeah, web server is available. And now, this web server having the same destination IP. So this data traffic will be accepted by F5. After receiving F5 this data, F5 verify in virtual server web, we are getting the map pull. In this pull, whenever receive your data, first we are receiving on virtual server, second we are receiving on pull. Whenever pull receive your data, pull verify this service. Which service? This client say inside my data, I am also at the layer 4. Which one? The layer 4. In layer 4, this user say I am using TCP and source port and destination port. Source port is random, but destination port is 80. 80 means, Pradeep, go on. 80 means which service we are using?
HTTP.
HTTP.
HTTP. HTTP means now, basically, this F5 look up into pull which service. This pull say, okay, I just need to check 80 number service available. Yeah. How many servers providing this service? Server 1, server 2, server number 3. Each server having IP plus service. Now, whenever your data traffic go to this service to this server, server means now the third lookup into node. Node is this one now. Now server check the load balancing algorithm is round robin. So now F5 save this first data traffic will be forward on my server 1. Second data traffic forward on my server 2. Third data traffic forward on server 3. But if you are using the load balancing is round robin, we are getting some issues. Which type issues? For example, server 3 having the i3 processor and 2 GB RAM. How many RAM? 2 GB RAM. Server 2 say I am having the i5 processor, but I am having how many RAM? The 4 GB RAM. Server 3 say I am having i7 processor and with 8 GB RAM. So which one server having the best processing? Which server? Anyone know? Which server having the best processor?
Server 3.
Server
Third.
3. But if you are using the round robin, if your client sending the 10 packets, how many? 10 packets. So each packet distribute your servers, each packet. So that means each servers having three packets. In this condition, we are using the all resources. We are using all resources from each server. No, we are using the distribution mechanism is equal. Equal means server 3 also having 3 packets, server 2 also having 3 packets, server 1 also having 3 packets. If you are using round robin, so that means server 3 receive the equal packet, but it will process quickly. Server 2 will take time, server 1 will also take time. So in this mechanism, we need to learn the method of which one mechanism? Load balancing. So anyone know what is the difference? If someone asking an interview, what is difference between load balancing and load sharing? Anyone know what is the difference? Load balancing or load sharing? Pradeep, Rohan. I think you're already working now, brother. So you can tell me what is the difference. Load balancing.
I'm hearing for the very first time on the load sharing actually.
Okay.
Sir, as
Load,
per my knowledge, load balancing will it will distribute equal load to all the nodes, and in load
we are,
sharing, it will.
no worry. If you don't have, so clear. Load balancing means we are using path, but which one? Which one path? Multiple. Clear? Multiple path, multiple devices. You can say multiple links. Okay, no worry. Load sharing also using same thing. We are using, just mute mic dear. We are using path. How many paths? We are using multiple. Same thing. Load balancing or load sharing, same concept first line. But second is different. Second means load balancing means in this scenario, device distribute packets. Okay, and load sharing means in this scenario, device distribute packets on the basis of size. If you're having 1 GB data, for example, this one is your client and we are getting 2 parts to reach my server. Clear? So we are getting 1 GB link and we are getting how many links dear? 10 GB. So basically this client, if we are using load balancing, which one mechanism dear? If we are using load balancing, so this client use both path. No worry. If this client say I want to send the 6 packets, how many packets? 6 packets. So 3 packets go to via this one and 3 packets go to via this one. But now this client say I am sending 6 packets with how many data? How many data dear? 20 GB data. Now on the basis of this data size, this data traffic will be distributed on each link. So that means we are using load sharing. If we are using multiple path to distribute my packets, so we are using load balancing. Clear? Load sharing also possible on the basis of your applications. Clear? Pradeep, Rohan, this thing is clear?
Yes.
Load balancing means we are using path, we are using devices, we are using links. Okay, but load sharing means we are using our application, we are using the size of your data, we are depends on your data traffic. Clear? So this one is concept, load balancing or load sharing. But basically how many method available? If someone asking which one question, how many method, or you can say option to perform which one task dear? Which one task? The load balancing task. So if someone asking how many option to do any task, so we are getting only 2 option. Which one dear? First is my static and second is my which one way dear to perform load balancing for any task? Dynamic. Anyone know what is the difference in between static or dynamic? Any idea? Difference only. Static means manually. Which one dear?
Manual. Okay.
And dynamic means we are done the task automatic. Clear? So we discuss both concepts. We discuss static load balancing. We discuss which one load balancing? Which one load balancing? The dynamic way to perform the load balancing task. Okay. This thing is clear. Pradeep, Rohan. Now we need to discuss about the next part of your F5 load balancing. Now, basically, whenever we performing the load balancing scenarios, which one dear? Whenever we perform the load balancing scenarios. So first clear your load balancing theory. Okay. So we are getting the load balancing option. How many types load balancing on your F5 device? If someone asking how many types load balancing. So we are getting the first load balancing name is round robin. Which one, dear? Round robin. I think round robin is clear, na? Each data traffic. Okay. The second load balancing name is on the basis of your ratio. Which one, dear? On the basis of your ratio. And the next load balancing name is the least connection. Which one, dear? Least connection. Okay. Now the next load balancing is the fastest algorithm, the fastest mechanism we discussed. Now the next method of your load balancing is observe. Which one, dear? Observed. Okay. Then next load balancing is predictive. Which one? Predictive. And next load balancing is we are using the dynamic ratio. Multiple available, but we discuss this load balancing in your LTM scenarios. So how many types load balancing total, dear? Please verify. How many types? Pradeep, Rohan?
7.
How many? 7 types. So basically clear. The round robin and ratio. Which one? The round robin and ratio. This one is your which type of load balancing? Static. That means we need to do manually task. Which one, dear? Manually. And then this one. How many? Least connection, fastest, observed, predictive, and dynamic ratio. Those load balancing we are calling the which one mechanism to perform, dear? Dynamic. Dynamic means automatic. Which one, dear? Automatic. No need to do any task, only configure and use. No need to configure, only enable your load balancing. Okay, only enable. So we start first difference between static or dynamic. We need to discuss static load balancing concept, and this side we need to discuss about the which one load balancing scenario, dear? The dynamic load balancing. Now some key points you need to remember about the static load balancing. First thing, manually enable. Which one, dear? Manually enable. On which one box, dear? F5 box. Second option, in this load balancing, F5 device. Which one device, dear? F5 device. The distribute data traffic on the basis of which one mechanism? Manually configure components. If you configure any manually configuration done, so on the basis of your component, this device distribute the data traffic. Next thing, in this load balancing, equally distribute traffic. Each server, F5 never check resources. Anyone know resources means? Anyone know resources means? Resources means you can say CPU, RAM, link speed, and a reply. How many time it will take a response? Clear? This concept never check on F5. In which one load balancing, Pradeep? The static load balancing. Clear? Now one more thing. If in this load balancing, if in this load balancing get any changes, if server goes down, get any changes, then F5 device never do any changes in load balancing. Okay, this thing is clear, Pradeep, Rohan. If your server goes down, if your buffer memory is full, if your device is not taking any response, so load balancing will automatically change the behavior? No. In a static load balancing, we are not getting any changes. Okay, this thing is clear, Pradeep. Any doubt? Static load balancing. Now, one more thing. In a static load balancing, how many types load balancing we are using? Round robin and which one, dear? Ratio. So round robin we clear first, then we discuss ratio. Round robin. The round. This one is global load balancing. Mostly routing protocol also using this mechanism. Okay. Now, one more thing. This load balancing by default enable or we need to enable manually? Anyone know? This load balancing by default enable. And one more thing. This load balancing distribute equal data traffic. Which one, dear? Distribute equal data traffic. Clear? Now one more thing. In this load balancing, F5 device also distribute connections. Which one, dear? Connections. And this connection also equally. For example, if your client want to send some request to your server, so equally distribute. Okay. Pradeep, Rohan, this thing is clear? Hello?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. For example,
Yes,
this
sir.
one is your design last time. No worry. If you are getting confusion, clear. So I think this one design last time we discussed, na brother? This one is your design last time. In round robin, what will be happen? For example, this client say, I'm trying to sending some data, but how many clients available? For example, we are getting 15 clients. How many clients? 15 clients each connection sending on my F5. For which one? For which one? For my website. For my website. For my FTP server, for example. So no worry. So basically, whenever we are using the TCP protocol, we need to enable first connection now. So this connection request receive on ISP. Which one side? ISP. ISP receive and forward on which one side? Whenever ISP receives, so forward on which one side first? Data traffic. F5 side or server side directly?
Server towards server.
Pradeep, Rohan, which one side first connection request side? Server side or F5 device side first?
From the client?
Yeah, from the client. We are initiate the process from the client.
It goes to F5.
It goes to first F5. Whenever F5 receive, F5 check which one thing first? The public IP. Which public IP we are sending a request. Then second, the virtual server. Then third, the pool. Then next is node.
Members. Okay.
Node. Okay. In pool, we are using the load balancing. We are using the services as well. Because pool available with node plus load balancing plus services. Clear? So whenever F5 device done the process, F5 device verify, okay, load balancing is we are using which one mechanism? Round robin. And round robin means F5 device say I'm receiving the 15 connection request. How many? 15 connection requests. So now F5 device check how many node status is up and how many node status is available. Which one, dear? How many node status is up and how many node status is available? Available means, anyone know? Available means? Hello? Huh?
They're accepting the
Service is
request.
running.
How many? Status available means this device is active for request, receive,
Right.
yes or no? And active
Yeah.
to process your data. Now. So FI device check how many nodes up? Server 1, server 2, and server 3. Now. FI device distribute server 1, server 2, server 3. How many? First connection on server 1, second connection on server 2, third connection on server 3, fourth connection on server 1, fifth connection, server 2, sixth connection, server 3, 7 connection on server 1, 8 number, server 2, 9 number, server 3, 10 number, server 1, 11, server 2, 12, this one, 13, 14, and then 15. Can you please verify the 15 connection equally distribute or we are getting any changes? Verify.
Yeah.
15 connection requests equally distribute. So basically in round robin, this FI device check server is I3 or your server is I5 or your server is I7. Device will check? No. So resources never check in my static load balancing. Clear? And round robin automatically perform, but it's equally distributed. But in round robin, which type of failure we can get? Which type of failure? Anyone know? In round robin, we are using complete resources. We are using complete resources on my F5 box. No, we are not using. Basically, this F5 box can be possible to do deep packet inspection. But this F5 device right now checking layer 3 and layer 4. Layer 3 for IP, layer 4 connections. Yes or no? And equally distribute. F5 device check your resources. F5 device check resources. Pradeep, Rohan, your
No.
which server 1 having I3, I5, I7, how many RAM, how many bandwidth on your servers, how many CPU utilization on servers? No. So in this case, if you are using round robin, so what is the important point to use load balancing round robin? Always clear the important point. If all servers having same resources, which one, dear? Same resources, then use. Okay, if you are having different resources, we need to use. Pradeep, Rohan, no. If you are having I3, I5, I7, so no need to use. Okay, round robin. The second load balancing name is the ratio. Which one, dear? After round robin, we need to discuss which one load balancing? The ratio.
Ratio.
Anyone know ratio means? Ratio means? Any idea? Ratio means?
Distributing
Basically,
about the weight.
It's work on conditions. It's work on some values. Okay. Now, basically, manually enable first. Manually enable. Okay. Okay. This load balancing use condition. This use load balancing. This load balancing use condition. And network engineer must be configure manually or automatically. Must be configure manually. Okay. In this load balancing, F5 device set a ratio for servers. Okay. One more thing. This ratio help to receive more data, more connections. Okay. More data, more connection or more packets? Which one, dear? More packets. So can you please verify in last design which server having the best processor? And quickly response, which server? Pradeep, Rohan.
Server 3.
Why?
It has i7 processor.
Because i7 RAM is extra, that is the reason. So server 3 can capable to do more tasks, more connections, more requests can receive. So basically in round robin, we are not getting any option to define manually. But in ratio, we are getting we can define the values to receive which one things, data, request, connection request, packets you can request, receive, but. In this load balancing, FI device distribute data traffic on the basis of a ratio, ratio. If someone say, sir, how many ratio we can set? So by default, this ratio value is how many bits? How many bits value we can get? Pradeep, Rohan, 16 bit. Anyone know how many values we can get in 16 bits? 2 power 16. So we are getting the value is 65536. It's a total value you can define. But this ratio start from 0 till go to how many, dear? 6, 5, how many? 5, 3, 5. And one more thing. By default, the ratio is how many? Pradeep, Rohan. By default ratio is how many, dear? 0. So if you are getting 0, so that means device never perform the load balancing. Okay. This thing is clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, a very simple example for ratio. No need to confuse any about a ratio scenario. This one is clear, last design. Okay. Now we need to define the resources. So server 1 having how many processor? i3 with 2 GB RAM. Okay. Server 1 say I am having i5 with how many RAM, dear? 4 GB. Server 3 having i7 with how many RAM last time? 8 GB. This design is clear, Pradeep, Rohan. Now, so this client say, I want to send data traffic, I want to send connection requests, I want to send packets, but network engineer define on FI device, go to virtual server first. Virtual server available with web service with public IP is 192.168. How many? 30.100. This one option is available in my virtual server, but this virtual server map with my pool, and this pool having how many information, dear? Node, load balancing, plus which one information? Pradeep, Rohan, service. Okay. Now, and after this pool, we need to check the node. Basically, node available with my IP, with my service. This one is option, sometimes application. Now, in this design, very simply, we need to check the ratio load balancing. So first we need to enable ratio manually. First thing, ratio enable manually. Okay. Pradeep, Rohan, this thing is clear now. So now network engineer define the ratio manually. So we are going to server 1, server 2, server 3 and define the ratio. But which option we need to go? We need to go to pull. And first we need to go to load balancing. And load balancing manually said which one, dear? Which one? The ratio. And inside ratio, we need to define ratio values? No. We need to go to node, and each node, for example, server 1, server 2, and server 3, we need to define ratio. So first task, we need to set the load balancing. Second task, we need to set the nodes ratio. So server 1 say my ratio is, someone said, my ratio is 2. How many ratio? Pradeep, Rohan. How many ratio on server 1? 2. Server 2 say my ratio is Server 2 say my ratio is 3. How many? 3. Server 3 say my ratio is someone said. The how many ratio? Pradeep, Rohan, how many ratio? 5. Now, basically this client say, brother, I want to send some data traffic. So this client say, I am sending how many requests? How many connection requests? Pradeep, Rohan, can you please verify it, dear? How many connection
10,
requests client? 10 client,
10
10
requests.
requests. This 10 requests receive on F5. F5 first task. F5 device first look up into your layer 3 and check the destination IP is this one. Yes. And F5 check which service? Web service. Now second lookup, pull, and inside pull node available? Yes. And services available? Yes. And which one your load balancing mechanism? Which one, dear? Ratio. And now after pull, F5 device check how many nodes is available? Server 1, server 2, and server 3. Very good. Now next thing. Next thing, F5 device check the load balancing method is. Can you please verify the load balancing mechanism we are using on F5 is which one? The ratio.
Ratio.
Ratio means F5 device check. Okay. So server 1 having how many ratio? 2. Server 3, 3. Server 3, 5. Because on the basis of resources, na, RAM, processor, storage, link speed, this one is task. Now, so F5 device receive how many connection requests, dear? 10 requests. So now F5 device say, okay, I want to distribute this device connection request to each server. So how to distribute? How to distribute? F5 device say, okay, now I am sharing the network informations. Okay. So F5 device first connection request send on which one side, dear? First connection, server 1. Second connection request on server 2. Third connection request on Pradeep, Rohan, server 3. Clear? Now,
All right.
server 1 again receive the next connection. Server 2 again receive the next connection. Server 3 again receive the next connection. Now server 1 verify. Next connection received by server 1, server 2, or server 3. 7th number. F5 device check. Server 1 ratio is only 2 connection is automatically full now because we already sent now. Now F5 device check how many ratio on server 2? 3. Already received 2. So now server F5 device say server 2 possible to receive the 7th number. 8th number receive on server 3 because 5 ratio. Yes or no? Now the next time 9th number connection received by server 2 or server 3? Verify.
3.
Server 3 because server 3 having 5 and server 3 is already full. So 9th number received by server 3. And now next connection received by 10 number which one? Server 1, server 2, or server 3?
3 only.
Again server 3. Clear? After this process done, now if next time again someone sending the 5 connection, so again server 1, server 2, server 3. Okay, but connection must be processed immediate, then we can do distribution. Okay, any doubt, Pradeep, Rohan?
No, sir.
Okay, but brother, in if you are using the ratio load balancing, which one, dear? If you are using ratio load balancing, so ratio load balancing can work on 2 tasks. Which one? One task is ratio node. One task is ratio members. So how many types load balancing available in ratio, dear? Ratio node and ratio members. For example, server 1 using only single service or multiple? Server 1 having multiple service or single? So we can use multiple service now on server 1, web, FTP, applications, yes or no? So in this case, we are using this sub load balancing, ratio node, ratio members. So if someone asking why we use ratio node or ratio members, so ratio node means total. Which one, dear? Total ratio from all services if you are using multiple. So we check total ratio on your server. Member means specific ratio. Check each services. Okay, Pradeep, Rohan, this thing is clear, brother? Ratio node or ratio member is clear now. So if someone says, sir, how to get the information about node or member, for example, how many servers we are getting right now? How many servers available? Server 1, server number is next 2, and server number is Pradeep 3. Now we are using how many services? We are using for web. For example, we are using FTP. If you are using a application, so you can check also. Right now, someone said on server 1 for web service, the ratio is 2. Server 2 ratio is 3. Server 3 ratio is how many, dear? How many? 5. If someone said the FTP ratio on server 1 is 4, server 2 ratio is 2, and server 3 ratio is how many? Pradeep, Rohan, check how many for FTP? 3. So in this case, now if someone say I'm using the ratio node algorithm, which one? Pradeep, Rohan, which one algorithm we are using? Ratio node. So server 1, the total ratio is how many? Total ratio. Anyone know how many? Total ratio, server 1. 6. Server 2, total ratio is how many? 5. Server 3, total ratio is how many? 8. If someone says, sir, this client say, I want to send how many connections? 15 connection request. How many, dear? 15 connection requests I want to send. So how to distribute? If we are using ratio node, any idea how to distribute? So server 1 receiving which one connection request? First, server 2, second, server 3 is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, can you please verify the 13 number received by which one server? 13 number connection.
Server 1.
Server 1, basically 6 number is na 14 and then 15. Receive na. If you are sending more than 15, so how can process? If we are sending more than 15, so how can process? It's a very simple. Again, give me 1 second to remove this one. If we are sending, for example, 20 requests, how many, dear? How many? 20 requests. Can you please verify which one server receiving the first? Server 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now can you please verify the 16 number received by server 1, server 2, or server 3? Please check which one received. Server 1. 17 number?
3.
Very good. 80 number?
3.
Now remaining all 3.
3 only. 19 number?
3.
Now the 20 number will be again recycle and receive by which one? The server 1. Okay. Because all connection will be processed, and 20 number again received by the server 1. This thing is clear. Ratio node is clear. Yes, and ratio member is, I think, already simple. Ratio member means each server, each service, each ratio. Yes or no? If I'm using the ratio member means if this client sending in this 20 requests, 5 requests only HTTP. How many? 5 requests for HTTP. 10 requests for FTP. And 5 requests, remaining 5 requests for ICMP. So in this case, so 5 requests received by web, and 10 requests received by which one person? FTP. Okay. This thing is clear. Any doubt? Ratio node or ratio member? Pradeep, Rohan. Hello. Hello.
No, sir. Hello.
Okay. Yeah. This thing is clear. Okay. Now, can you please distribute this 5 requests on web service, because server 1 having 2, server 2 having 3, server 3 having 5 ratio. Can you please distribute this 5 requests on each server? How to distribute? First packet received by server 1, second, server 2, third, server 3. Fourth number received by which one person? Server 1. Fifth number, server 2. Yes or no? Very good. So this one is very simple mechanism. So I think static is clear. Tomorrow we discuss the dynamic load balancing person. Okay. In dynamic load balancing, how many scenarios we discussed? Pradeep, Rohan? We discuss least connection, fastest, observe, predictive, and dynamic ratio. Okay. Hello.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Pradeep, Rohan, go through this video. We meet again tomorrow and discuss the same load balancing. Okay.
So